Hello everyone, this is a video lesson of chapter 29, the last chapter of Bill Bryson's book, Notes from a Small Island. So, from Glasgow, Bryson is traveling to Carlisle, and from Carlisle, he takes a train to his hometown in near Settle. Settle is again a town. He lives in Yorkshire, and he talks about this Carlisle to Settle railway line, which is an obscure railway line because not many people use it. And British Rail wants to close down this railway line because it is not generating any revenue. And Bryson is not very impressed with this argument. Revenue generate എല്ലാത്തിനെ അങ്ങ് അടച്ചു പൂട്ടാനാണെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ we may have to close down schools, national parks, museums, universities. ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം നമ്മൾ അടച്ചു പൂട്ടേണ്ടി വരും. So that is not a very logical argument, he says. And he talks about the history of the Settle Carlisle line back in 1870. It was designed, or it was thought of by James Alport. Alport was the general manager of Midland Railway. So this line should not have been in existence, but James Alport was a very eccentric man. So he wanted this line to be constructed. So there was already an East Coast line and a West Coast line. So there was no need for a main line in North. But he went ahead with the construction. And in 1870, you have to imagine 3.5 million euros of pounds was spent to build this line, which amounts to trillions of pounds or euros today, or in 1995. So, and the terrain on which this particular railway line was constructed was very difficult. The geography was not very conducive, so they had to build many tunnels and viaducts. Viaducts are bridges. So and from the beginning itself, this particular railway line was not economically viable or economically profitable railway line, because it started losing money. And but still it was maintained by British Railway. And then he talks about his hometown, which is Yorkshire. Hometown in the sense that he was born in US, but he has been in Britain for many decades. So he has been staying in Yorkshire, and he says that the single piece of landscape which he finds, which has captured his mind, is the Yorkshire Dales. Yorkshire Dales means valleys. So he says that first time he saw the Dales, he was infatuated, and he says that it is a hypnotic place. You cannot describe it, the place, in words. And he also describes the people. And he talks about an incident that happened outside of his gate a few days after he moved in. An accident happened. A lady driving a car meets with an accident, and it overturns. And two farmers who came up behind her in a Land Rover helped her out, and then took care of her. Then the other farmer took care of her vehicle, brought it back on 4 wheels, and very soon they directed the traffic and everything, and very soon everything was over. And there was no involvement of police, no ambulance, nothing. And finally it did not seem as if an accident or an incident like this had taken place there. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു സംഭവം നടന്നതായിട്ട് തോന്നാത്ത വിധം അവരത് ഹാൻഡിൽ ചെയ്തു. So that is how resourceful the people of Yorkshire are. And then he talks about how people give themselves freedom to barge into others' house and take anything they want. നോക്ക് ചെയ്യാതെ കയറി ചെല്ലാനുള്ള സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യം അവർ സ്വയം അവർക്ക് തന്നെ കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ആരുടെ വീട്ടിലും ചിലപ്പോൾ ഒന്ന് നോക്ക് ചെയ്തിട്ട് അങ്ങ് കയറി അങ്ങ് ചെല്ലും. They don't wait for the others to open the door or anything. And sometimes he says that you might be in your underwear. Bryson himself describes an incident where he had to run to inside the pantry. Someone barged into his house and he had to immediately hide in the pantry because he was only wearing his undergarment. And they came and told him that they are taking 6 eggs, and they left. So and he says that people of Yorkshire have a terrible reputation outside of Yorkshire. Like other people think of Yorkshire people as mean and uncharitable, that they don't cooperate, or they don't give things to people. That is the general idea about Yorkshire people. And Bryson says that that is not the case. People of Yorkshire are very decent and they are very open. Okay, they don't hide anything from you. They always tell the truth to your face. So if you have any shortcomings in your general demeanor or behavior, they will say it to your face. They won't hide it. They won't sugarcoat anything. They just always say the truth. And he talks about the place in American Midwest where he was born. And he says that in American Midwest, if a new family moves into a village, all the other families in the village will go and meet them with pies. Okay, and that is the norm there. And some people move every 6 months to a new home in order to get the pies. So such behavior you won't encounter in Yorkshire. People won't come to you as a newcomer to a village. People won't come to you at first, but gradually, as time passes, you will find a place in their hearts, and then they become friendly, and finally they start waving at you when you go outside and all. Meet them outside in public places. They give you a wave which he calls the Mallam wave. The Mallam wave, he says that he describes how to wave. അതെങ്ങനെയാണത് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. മാലം ഡെയിൽ വേവ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അത് എങ്ങനെയാണത് ചെയ്യേണ്ടതെന്ന് he has described it here. Pretend that you are grasping the steering wheel and then extending your index finger as if you are having an involuntary spasm. അങ്ങനെയാണ് മാലം ഡെയിൽ വേവ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. സോ ഇതൊക്കെ ആലോചിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരുന്ന് സഡൻലി ഹി റിയലൈസസ് ദാറ്റ് ഹിസ് ട്രെയിൻ ഹാസ് റീച്ച്ഡ് Settle railway station, and he finds his wife outside. They drive down to Yorkshire, and he describes the site, or the sights that he sees, and then he talks of how wondrous a place England is. He talks about cricket. He talks about Shakespeare, Christopher Wren, and finally he says that Britain is an enigma. And he says on the second half of the 20th century, Britain is a country which won a noble war, and it dismantled its empire, the British Empire. They dismantled it, and ഓരോ രാജ്യങ്ങൾക്കായിട്ട് സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യമൊക്കെ കൊടുത്തു. And in short, Bryson says that they did nearly everything right, and then spent the rest of the century looking on itself as a chronic failure. സ്വയം ഒരു ഫെയിലിയർ ആയിട്ട് കണ്ടു. പക്ഷേ Bryson here talks from the white perspective. See, for us Indians who were once ruled by the British, it is not very easy to describe Britain like this, okay, as if they did something very noble. അതായത് അവരുടെ എംപയർ ബ്രേക്കപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് എല്ലാവർക്കും സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യം കൊടുത്തു എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്നത് സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യം കിട്ടാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് എന്തൊക്കെ അനുഭവിച്ചു, എന്തൊക്കെ അട്രോസിറ്റീസ് ബ്രിട്ടൻ കമ്മിറ്റ് ചെയ്തു എന്നുള്ളതിനെ കുറിച്ചൊന്നും ബ്രൈസൺ ഓർക്കുന്നില്ല. ബ്രൈസൺ ഇസ് ജസ്റ്റ് സിംപ്ലി സേയിങ് ദാറ്റ് ബ്രിട്ടൻ ഇസ് എ വെരി നോബിൾ കൺട്രി, ദേ ഡിഡ് ദിസ്, ദേ ഡിഡ് ദാറ്റ് ആൻഡ് ഓൾ ദോസ് തിങ്സ്. കാരണം ബ്രൈസൺ അങ്ങനെ പറയാം, ഹീ ഈസ് നോട്ട് ദ വിക്ടിം ഹിയർ. But for us Indians, that is not the case. So this is how he ends this particular chapter and also this particular book.